The breaking of peace. For 4,000 years, humanity had walked among the stars not as conquerors, but as explorers and diplomats. After nearly destroying themselves in the last war of 2157, humans had collectively vowed to never again let conflict define their species. This cultural transformation had coincided with their discovery of faster-than-light travel, allowing humanity to spread throughout their local stellar neighborhood while carrying a message of peace. The Terran Concordat, as Earth's interstellar government came to be known, had established colonies on 17 worlds and made contact with 22 alien civilizations. In all that time, not a single human warship had been constructed. Their vessels carried scientific equipment, diplomatic envoys, and trade goods, never weapons. Captain Ilara Ven stood on the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Concordia, watching the blue-green world of Novaterra rotate slowly beneath them. At 43 years old, she had served in the diplomatic corps for nearly 2 decades, but this mission was different. Novaterra was humanity's newest colony, established just 15 years ago, and home to the first generation of children born beyond the reach of Earth's sun. "Captain, the Siraxian delegation is requesting permission to dock," said her first officer, Commander Thomas Chen, his voice calm as always. Ilara nodded. "Grant them clearance, Commander. Let's give our new neighbors a proper welcome." The Siraxians were the 23rd alien species humanity had encountered. Tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors with their moods. Initial scans had detected their presence just 2 systems away from Novaterra, and the Concordia had been dispatched to establish first contact. 3 hours later, Ilara sat across from Hierarch Vexlor, the leader of the Siraxian delegation. His skin rippled with patterns of deep purple and gold as he spoke, his translator converting his harmonic language into English. "We are most pleased to establish relations with your people, Captain Ven," the hierarch said. "The Siraxian collective has observed your colony from afar and found your peaceful approach intriguing. The Concordat believes in cooperation rather than competition," Ilara replied with a diplomatic smile. 4,000 years ago, we nearly destroyed ourselves through warfare. We chose a different path forward." "Fascinating," said Vexlor, his skin briefly flashing a curious blue. "And you maintain no military forces, no defensive capabilities." "We maintain security forces for civil protection, but we have no military as you would understand it," Ilara confirmed. "We've found that open diplomacy serves us better than shows of force." The hierarch's skin shifted to a thoughtful green. "Most species we've encountered view such an approach as naive." "Perhaps," Ilara acknowledged, "but 4 millennia of peaceful expansion suggests otherwise." The meeting concluded with agreements for cultural exchange and the beginnings of a trade negotiation. Over the next 3 weeks, Siraxian representatives visited Novaterra, while human diplomats toured the Siraxian vessels. Everything progressed smoothly, until the morning the children vanished. Ilara was awakened by an emergency alert at 3:47 hours. "Captain, you're needed on the bridge immediately." Chen's voice was no longer calm. When she arrived, the main view screen showed Governor Alessandra Martins of Novaterra, her face ashen. "Captain Ven, we have a crisis. 43 children from the Westlake settlement have disappeared during the night." "Disappeared? How?" Ilara demanded. "Security footage shows Siraxian transport signatures. They bypassed our colony shields somehow," the governor replied. "They took them right from their beds while their parents slept." Ilara felt her blood turn cold. In 4,000 years of interstellar relations, no species had ever committed such an act against humanity. "Have you contacted the Siraxian delegation?" "Their ships departed orbit 3 hours ago. All communication attempts have been ignored." Commander Chen approached with a data tablet. "Captain, we've detected their fleet moving toward Siraxian space. Long-range scans confirm life signs matching human children aboard their command vessel." Ilara's hands clenched into fists. "Contact Earth Central immediately." Inform them of the situation and request instructions. The response from Earth came 8 hours later. Director General Sophia Ouyang of the Diplomatic Corps appeared on screen, her expression grave. Captain Ven, the Governing Council is deeply troubled by this development. We're dispatching diplomatic envoys to Surrection Space to negotiate the return of the children. With respect, Director General, Ilara said, negotiation may not be effective. The Surrections deliberately violated our trust and kidnapped our children. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a calculated act. The Concordat has maintained peace for 4 millennia, Captain. We will not abandon our principles of the first challenge. And while we negotiate, what happens to those children? Ilara pressed. Director General Ouyang hesitated. We're exploring all diplomatic options. Your orders are to remain at Novaterra and provide support to the colony. The diplomatic mission will handle the Surrections. After the transmission ended, Ilara stood silently on the bridge, Commander Chen at her side. They're afraid, Chen said quietly. The Council doesn't know how to respond to aggression anymore. Maybe they don't, Ilara replied. But I know someone who might. 12 hours later, Ilara sat in her quarters facing a secure communication screen. The face that appeared belonged to an elderly woman with sharp eyes and silver hair pulled back in a severe bun. Admiral Catherine Chen, Ilara said. Thank you for taking my call. The woman's eyes narrowed. I haven't been called Admiral in a very long time, Captain Ven. I'm just Dr. Chen now, retired historian of pre-peace military strategy. We both know that's not entirely true, Ilara said carefully. You're the keeper. The old woman's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. That's a restricted designation, Captain. How do you know that term? My grandfather served on the Preservation Committee. Before he died, he told me that humanity never truly disarmed. We just buried our teeth very, very deep. Admiral Chen was silent for a long moment. What do you want, Captain? The Surrections have taken children from Novaterra. 43 of them. Earth Central is planning a diplomatic response. But you believe more direct action is required, the Admiral finished. You realize what you're asking. Protocol Aurora hasn't been activated in 4,000 years. I'm not asking for war, Admiral. I'm asking for the capability to rescue those children if diplomacy fails. The Admiral's gaze was evaluating. You understand that even speaking of Protocol Aurora could end your career. The Concordat believes these measures no longer exist. I understand, Ilara said firmly. Very well. Transmitting coordinates now. What Earth buried, only Earth can unearth, but you'll need authorization from a keeper. And will you give that authorization? Ilara asked. Admiral Chen's face remained impassive. The Preservation Committee exists to ensure humanity never loses its ability to defend itself, should the need arise. I believe that time has come. Authorization granted, Captain Ven. The coordinates led to a seemingly empty region of space near Luna, Earth's moon. As the Concordia approached, Commander Chen looked nervously at his captain. Are you certain about this? We're violating direct orders from Earth Central. I'm certain those children don't have time for us to negotiate their release, Ilara replied. If I'm wrong, I'll accept the consequences. When they reached the coordinates, there was nothing visible, just empty space against the backdrop of Luna's gray surface. Send the authentication code, Ilara ordered. As soon as the code transmitted, the empty space shimmered and dissolved, revealing a massive installation embedded within Luna itself. The holographic camouflage that had hidden it for millennia dissolved, revealing sleek, angular structures that clearly served a very different purpose than the peaceful vessels humanity had built for centuries. What is that? Whispered one of the bridge officers. That, said Ilara, is humanity's insurance policy. A transmission came through, automated and ancient. Protocol Aurora authentication accepted. Welcome to Bastion Command, Captain Ven. Preservation assets are now at your disposal. Within the lunar installation, they found them. Warships. Not the massive, brutish vessels that dominated historical records from the last war, but elegant, streamlined craft incorporating 4,000 years of technological advancement, repurposed for defense. Admiral Catherine Chen met them in the command center, having arrived via a secure transport system known only to the keepers. These vessels represent the pinnacle of human innovation, Captain. While the Concordat built ships for peace, the Preservation Committee took those same technologies and adapted them. These ships have never been used in conflict. They were built solely to ensure humanity would never be defenseless. How many people know about this place? Commander Chen asked. Fewer than 100 across all of human space, the Admiral replied. The Keepers, the Committee, and now you. Ilara walked through the hangar, examining the sleek vessel designated Nemesis. It's smaller than the Concordia, but far more capable, the Admiral said. The Nemesis carries advanced stealth systems, shield technology centuries beyond what's publicly known, and defensive weaponry designed specifically for surgical operations. Defensive weaponry, Ilara repeated, an interesting euphemism. These ships were built with one purpose, to protect human lives when diplomacy fails. They were never intended for conquest or aggression. Over the next 24 hours, a crew was assembled from the Concordia, volunteers who understood the stakes and were willing to risk their careers to save the children. The Nemesis was prepared for its first mission, while automated systems throughout human space quietly activated, ready to provide support if needed. As Ilara prepared to depart, Admiral Chen pulled her aside. Captain Ven, you need to understand something crucial. What you're about to do will change humanity's relationship with the galaxy forever. Once this door is opened, it cannot be closed again. Ilara nodded solemnly. I understand. But 43 children are depending on us. Admiral, some principles are worth preserving, even at great cost. Then go with the blessing of the Keepers, Captain. Bring our children home. As the Nemesis departed Luna's shadow, Ilara Ven stood on its bridge, not as a diplomat, but as something humanity hadn't seen in 4 millennia, a protector willing to fight for those who couldn't defend themselves. The age of absolute peace was ending. What would replace it remained to be seen. Awakening the ancient fire, the Nemesis moved through the darkness of space like a shadow, its advanced stealth systems rendering it virtually undetectable to conventional sensors. Captain Ilara Ven had studied the ship's capabilities during their 3-day journey to Syraxian space, and what she discovered had left her both awed and troubled. Humanity had maintained a facade of complete demilitarization for millennia, while secretly preserving the capacity for warfare, evolving and refining it in absolute secrecy. Approaching the Syraxian home system, Commander Chen reported from his station. Long-range scans indicate significant orbital infrastructure and a defensive fleet of approximately 200 vessels. Ilara studied the tactical display. Can we locate the children? The ship's sensor officer, Lieutenant Maya Santos, nodded. Yes, Captain. We're detecting human biosignatures on their central orbital station. All 43 children appear to be alive and in stable condition. A collective sigh of relief passed through the bridge crew. Their greatest fear, that they might arrive too late, had not come to pass. What about Earth's diplomatic mission? Ilara asked. Their vessel entered the system 12 hours ago, Chen replied. They're currently in communication with Syraxian High Command, but according to intercepted transmissions, negotiations are not progressing. Ilara wasn't surprised. The Syraxians had calculated that humanity would respond with words rather than action, a reasonable assumption given 4,000 years of precedent. Take us in, Commander. Maintain stealth protocols and position us within deployment range of the orbital station. As they maneuvered closer to the massive crystalline structure that served as the Syraxian Central Command, Ilara called her rescue team to the briefing room. 20 crew members, all volunteers, gathered around a holographic display of the station. Our mission is extraction only, Ilara emphasized. We get in, secure the children, and get out with minimal engagement. The Nemesis carries non-lethal suppression technology specifically designed for this purpose. I want to be absolutely clear. We are not here for vengeance. We're here for our children. Dr. Imani Okafor, the ship's medical officer, raised her hand. Captain, I've analyzed the biodata on the children. They show elevated stress hormones, but no signs of physical trauma. However, there are unusual neurological patterns I can't fully explain without direct examination. Ilara frowned. Could they be experimenting on them? It's possible, Dr. Okafor admitted, but I can't confirm without more data. Then we move now, Ilara decided. Commander Chen will lead the primary extraction team. Lieutenant Santos will coordinate from the Nemesis and monitor Syraxian communications. I'll lead the secondary team to secure our exit route. The operation commenced at 200 hours, ship time. The Nemesis deployed 4 stealth shuttles that silently approached different access points on the orbital station. Using technology that had been refined over centuries by the Preservation Committee, they bypassed the station's formidable security systems without triggering a single alarm. Commander Chen's team was the first to infiltrate, moving through the crystalline corridors like ghosts. Their tactical suits, another secret technology, adapted to the ambient light conditions, bending photons around them to create near-perfect camouflage. Central hub secured, Chen reported via the neural communication system. Moving to target location, Ilara led her team through a different section of the station, disabling security nodes as they advanced. The few Syraxian guards they encountered were quickly neutralized with targeted sonic pulses that rendered them unconscious without permanent harm. Captain, Chen's voice came through her neural link. We've located the children. They're in a large chamber with some kind of, I'm not sure how to describe it. It looks like an educational facility, but with direct neural interfaces attached to each child. Are they conscious? Ilara asked, her pace quickening. Yes, but they appear to be in some kind of induced learning state. They're not responding to our presence. Dr. Okafor, join Commander Chen's team immediately, Ilara ordered. We need to know if it's safe to disconnect them from those devices. As Ilara's team rounded the final corridor to their rendezvous point, they encountered a squad of Syraxian security personnel. Unlike the previous guards, these were fully armed and alert, their skin pulsing with aggressive red patterns. Hold position, Ilara commanded her team, raising her hand. To the Syraxians, she called out, we mean no harm. We've come for our children. The lead Syraxian's skin flashed with patterns of shock and confusion. Humans, impossible. You have no military capability. A common misconception, Ilara replied calmly. Please stand aside. We don't wish to harm you. The Syraxian raised his weapon. You will surrender immediately and... Ilara never learned what he intended to say. With reluctance, she activated her sonic disruptor, and the entire Syraxian squad collapsed, unconscious before they hit the floor. Captain, we have a complication, Dr. Okafor reported through the neural link. The children are connected to a complex neural network. Abrupt disconnection could cause trauma. I need time to safely disengage them. How much time? At least 30 minutes to do it properly. Ilara glanced at her tactical display. The station's security systems were beginning to register anomalies as more guards failed to report in. You have 15 minutes, Doctor. After that, we'll have the entire Syraxian defense force on us. While Dr. Okafor worked to safely disconnect the children, Ilara directed her team to secure their exit route. Lieutenant Santos reported from the Nemesis that Syraxian vessels were beginning to move into defensive formations around the station. They still don't know exactly what's happening, Santos said, but they know something's wrong. 12 minutes later, Dr. Okafor reported success. We've safely disconnected 28 children. They're disoriented but mobile, working on the rest now. Captain, Chen's voice cut in urgently. We have high-ranking Syraxians approaching the chamber, at least a dozen, with elite guards. Ilara made a quick decision. Hold your position, Commander. I'm on my way. Lieutenant Santos, prepare the Nemesis for immediate extraction once we have the children secured. By the time Aurora reached the chamber, all 43 children had been disconnected from the neural interfaces. Many were crying, others simply looked dazed, but all were alive and apparently uninjured. Commander Chen had positioned his team at the entrances, ready to repel any attempt to reclaim the children. Captain, the Suraxian delegation is requesting to speak with whoever is in charge, one of Chen's officers reported. They're waiting outside. Aurora considered her options. Their escape route was secured, but getting 43 disoriented children to the extraction point while potentially fighting off Suraxian forces would be challenging. Perhaps understanding why the children had been taken might help resolve the situation with less risk. I'll speak with them, she decided. Commander Chen, be prepared to move the children at my signal. When the chamber doors opened, Aurora found herself face to face with Hierarch Vexlor, his skin now pulsing with complex patterns of blue and violet. Behind him stood several other Suraxians wearing what appeared to be academic regalia rather than military uniforms. Captain Ven, the Hierarch said, genuine surprise evident in his voice. You lead this incursion. Vexlor's skin rippled with what Aurora now recognized as confusion. Justification. Captain, we were honoring your children with the greatest gift our civilization can offer, direct knowledge transfer from our most accomplished scholars. It was Aurora's turn to be confused. You kidnapped them. We selected them, the Hierarch countered, as we have done with promising young minds from every species we've encountered. It is our tradition to identify gifted children and offer them access to our accumulated wisdom. Without consent, without even informing their parents. The Hierarch's skin shifted to a troubled shade of green. We assumed your government had approved. When we observed your colony, we noted that your most accomplished scientists and leaders had all experienced off-world training during their developmental years. We believe this was your practice as well. Understanding dawned on Aurora. Those were exchange programs with other human colonies, Hierarch. Voluntary programs with parental consent. A grave misunderstanding. Then, Vexlor said, his skin now fluctuating with patterns that suggested genuine distress. We meant no harm. In Suraxian culture, selection for knowledge transfer is the highest honor. Parents compete to have their offspring chosen. Dr. Okafor approached, having overheard the conversation. The neural interfaces were educational, she confirmed to Aurora. Sophisticated beyond our technology, but they were transferring language skills, scientific knowledge, cultural information, not harming the children. Aurora looked back at the frightened children being comforted by her crew members. Intent aside, Hierarch, you took them without permission. When we attempted diplomatic contact, your vessels flowed with our children aboard. When your government dispatched a diplomatic vessel, we assumed it was to formalize the arrangement, Vexlor explained. We brought the children to our central learning facility. As is our custom, we had no idea you would interpret our actions as hostile. A profound cultural misunderstanding, Aurora realized, but one that had nearly led to catastrophe. Hierarch Vexlor, humanity values its children above all else. In our culture, taking a child without parental consent is among the gravest crimes possible. The Hierarch's skin blanched to a pale, ashen color. What Aurora now understood was the Suraxian expression of profound shock. This explains much about your response, including this. He gestured around them. We believe humanity possessed no military capability. Yet here you stand, having penetrated our most secure facility with technology we cannot even detect. Humanity chose peace 4,000 years ago, Aurora said carefully. But we never chose defenselessness. We simply kept our capabilities in reserve, hoping never to need them. A wise precaution, the Hierarch acknowledged, one we did not anticipate. He bowed deeply, a gesture Aurora recognized from their earlier diplomatic meetings as one of profound respect. We offer our sincere apologies for this misunderstanding, Captain Venn. The children will, of course, be returned immediately. 3 hours later, the Nemesis departed Siraxian space with all 43 children safely aboard. The diplomatic vessel sent by Earth Central had been stunned to receive a formal apology from the Siraxian collective, along with an unprecedented offer of full technological exchange. A gesture the Siraxians had never before extended to any species. In her quarters, Ilara recorded her official report for Earth Central, knowing it would forever change humanity's standing in the galaxy. The existence of Protocol Aurora and the Preservation Committee would no longer remain secret. The carefully maintained illusion of complete demilitarization would end. The children are all in good health, she recorded. Dr. Okafor reports that the neural interfaces actually transferred significant knowledge to them. Advanced mathematics, xenobiology, stellar cartography. Once they recovered from the initial disorientation, many expressed curiosity about what they had learned. The Siraxians have offered to create a formal exchange program with proper protocols and parental consent. She paused, considering her next words carefully. As for the larger implications of this mission, I take full responsibility for activating Protocol Aurora without authorization. I understand the consequences of revealing capabilities we've kept hidden for millennia. But I believe this incident demonstrates the wisdom of the Preservation Committee's vision. Humanity's commitment to peace remains unchanged, but our capacity to protect our own has been preserved. When the Nemesis returned to Earth, Ilara expected to face court-martial. Instead, she found herself addressing the full Governing Council, explaining in detail what had transpired. Director General Ouyang spoke after Ilara finished her report. Captain Venn, while we cannot officially condone your actions in bypassing the diplomatic process, we cannot argue with the results. All 43 children have been safely returned, and we've established a better understanding with the Siraxian collective than we might have achieved through years of conventional diplomacy. Admiral Catherine Chen, now formally acknowledged as the chief keeper of the Preservation Committee, added, "For 4,000 years, humanity has maintained peace while preserving the capacity for self-defense. That balance has served us well. Perhaps it's time we acknowledge both aspects of our nature openly." In the months that followed, humanity's relationship with the galactic community subtly transformed. Other species regarded humans with newfound respect, not fear, but a deeper understanding. The revelation that the peaceful traders and diplomats they had known for millennia had maintained such discipline, developing defensive capabilities they chose not to use except when their children were threatened, sparked a profound reassessment. The Nemesis was not hidden away again, but became the flagship of a new branch of the Terran Concordat, the Guardian Fleet. Its purpose was not conquest or aggression but protection of human worlds and shipping lanes. Under Captain Ilara Venn's command, it would serve as a reminder that humanity's choice of peace was exactly that. A choice renewed each day by a species that understood the cost of war and the value of restraint. 1 year after the rescue mission, Ilara stood on the observation deck of the Nemesis, watching as a transport vessel departed Earth carrying the first group of human children, officially selected for the Siraxian Knowledge Exchange Program. Volunteers, with full parental consent and proper supervision. Commander Chen joined her at the viewport. "Do you ever regret it, Captain? Changing the course of human history?" Ilara considered the question carefully. "I regret that it was necessary," she answered finally, "but not that I did it. Sometimes protecting peace means being willing to fight for it." "An ancient paradox," Chen observed. "An ancient truth," Ilara corrected. "One humanity has always known, even when we pretended otherwise." As the Nemesis prepared for its patrol of the outer colonies, Ilara reflected that humanity hadn't really changed. They had simply remembered who they were. Explorers and diplomats, yes, but also protectors, willing to stand between their children in harm's way. The galaxy now understood this duality, and perhaps respected humanity more for it. The age of naive peace had ended. The age of vigilant peace had begun.